Hello and welcome to Niaga Spotlight with me, Tamina Kaushi. Niaga Spotlight takes us through the week in economic analysis and future affairs. Now this week on Future Affairs, we're looking at eco-assets and elephant conservation in Malaysia. Elephant conservation in Malaysia faces complex economic and socio-environmental challenges. Now in 2025, an estimated 3,800 elephants or so are believed to live across Malaysia. The recent elephant roadkill also highlights a wider crisis. Nearly 2,400 wildlife deaths have occurred on Malaysian roads just since 2020, including endangered species. The tragic death of a baby elephant on the East-West Highway on Mother's Day, 11th May, with heart-wrenching visuals of the elephant mother's grief, underscores the urgent need for effective mitigation strategies to protect one of our most beloved eco-assets, the Malaysian wild elephant. Untouched forests, which are critical wildlife and elephant habitats, are being threatened by proposed road projects and habitat fragmentation in several states. In Sabah, meanwhile, a key issue with Borneo pygmy elephant conservation is the ongoing threat of habitat loss, primarily due to deforestation for agriculture, especially oil palm plantations. Today on Niaga Spotlight, we have the pleasure of having with us in the studios Dr. Farina Othman, founder and director of Saratu Atai, leading efforts to protect the endangered Borneo pygmy elephant in Sabah. Dr. Wong Ipin, associate professor with University of Nottingham, Malaysia, and principal investigator, management and ecology of Malaysian elephants, MEME, joins us also to highlight proactive measures for elephant conservation in Malaysia. A very good morning to the both of you. Thank you so much for making time today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. Nice to see you.
Right. So if I could get started, perhaps, Ifin, if you could start off by helping us to actually identify the fact that Malaysia is actually home to two subspecies of wild elephants. Could you give us a quick overview and also what have been some of the ongoing as well as historic challenges when it comes to conservation?
Yeah, I think Malaysia is very fortunate that we have elephants in Peninsular Malaysia and also in Borneo, particularly in Sabah. So maybe Farina will elaborate more on the Bornean elephants here. So in Peninsular Malaysia, we estimate there's about 1,500 elephants. And in Sabah recently, the estimates are about 1,000.
More or less the same.
Yeah?
Numbers, yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of conservation of elephants in Malaysia, I'm glad that the researchers in Sabah and Peninsular Malaysia, we collaborate very closely. Yeah, so we exchange knowledge and data, and we discuss on strategies and things like that. A lot of the stakeholders that we work with are quite similar. For example, the oil palm plantations. The oil palm plantations, they have estates in Peninsular Malaysia and also in Sabah and elsewhere. And a lot of best practices are being shared across all this region so that we can increase our ability to have elephants and oil palms in the same area.
Exactly. Of course, we'll go deeper into discussing a bit of that. I just wanted to ask, as a matter of curiosity, there isn't actually much specific data available for elephant populations in Sarawak. Any thoughts around how perhaps that could be made more available? Would that also be more helpful to the overall elephant conservation work which is happening in Malaysia, Ifin?
So currently we do not have elephants in Sarawak, but maybe in the past we had a long time ago, because during the Ice Age, this whole continent over here, the Borneo and Peninsula, we are actually connected. Yes, thank you, Farina. You are able to walk from Peninsular Malaysia to Borneo and vice versa. So.
If I can add to that, so
yes, of course.
Not many people knows that Borneo is like the third largest island in the world, but the Bornean elephant are only found in the north part, so which is in Sabah.
That's right, correct.
So there are still a lot of discussion and debates like around that's why we only have elephants in Sabah, not in other part of Borneo. But there is really more like academic debates. Like now, the most important thing is that we have elephants and we have to find a way to manage and conserve them.
Yeah. And speaking of ways to conserve them, first and foremost, of course, wanting to congratulate Seratu Atai on your recent recognition
so much.
by the Whitley Conservation Fund. Tell us a little bit more, Dr. Farina, about what you have noticed through your work with Seratu Atai and partners about Borneo pygmy elephant and the most critical issues that you feel need to be highlighted.
All right. So first of all, I would like to just create some awareness that our Bornean elephants, they are not pygmy. Because a lot of people thought we have very small elephants, but no, our elephant is quite big.
Okay, so let's dispel that. So why has it become a commonplace, well, layperson term to actually refer to them as pygmies?
They are the smallest subspecies of Asian elephant for sure.
Right.
But they're not pygmy. I think it's just to give some kind of a nice attraction, because at the beginning, when in starting 2003, people still not knowing what is Bornean elephant. So I guess some group of researchers, they started to learn about elephants, and they want to attract people to get to know these species. Then they started to call as pygmy elephants. So.
Right, okay, so it kind of stuck even though it is not exactly ecologically accurate.
Yeah, but they are like the smallest subspecies of Asian elephants.
And according, of course, to the recognition for Seratu Atai by the recent Whitley Award, are there approximately how many of these elephants in Sabah area?
So right now, just because estimation can be, we won't get the actual numbers. Because
That's correct, yes.
It always estimates. And now we have about like 1,500, so 1,500 Bornean elephant. The biggest challenge is that their ranging distribution is very limited to the east coast of Sabah.
Right.
Where, this area are also very, very good for oil palm plantations and other socio-economic growth activities. So this is where it's very important to, everyone comes together and try to integrate elephants in the landscape.
Correct. Can I ask that, well, traditionally speaking, have elephants always been towards this side of the coast? And when it comes to habitat restoration and community engagement, what are some of the features that you've noticed?
So elephants are always, since the beginning, only found in the east coast of Sabah. And I think in terms of habitat restoration, we tend to neglect the nature of elephants. They are a species, a wide range species. They need a mix of, habitats. Forest, I think, is more suitable for species like orangutan that needs trees and things like that, because most of the restoration that we're doing right now is planting, native trees. Right. But elephants, they prefer more like grasses and so it's very important for us for elephants is not, first of all, we first need to think that don't destroy first their habitats.
Yes, number one.
And then when we try to restore, it's about connectivity. It's about try to expand their ranging area so that they can move, and right now their traditional route has been disturbed. And sometimes they are stuck in an area because we have we put a lot of barriers, for example. We put a lot of, we try to stop them basically, so they're stuck in one area, then it will create more conflicts. So for elephants, the most important thing is to try to expand their ability to move from one area to another area, which is very challenging.
Absolutely. And I think often when it comes to a crisis point, the challenge actually ends up being unfortunate wildlife and elephant roadkills, which is what we recently saw. I think a lot of attention has come to the issue, but let's dig a bit deeper, Dr. Ifin. Let's look at balancing logging, palm oil cultivation, as well as, elephant conservation at the medium to long term in sustainable manners.
Yeah, so the scenario in Peninsular Malaysia is slightly different from Sabah.
Sure.
So the elephant range in Peninsular Malaysia is shrinking in the past 40 years, and now we have lost about around 60% of elephant range in human-dominated landscape. So right now the effort is actually to try to retain the elephant range in Peninsular Malaysia, and for that to happen, we need to work with the stakeholders on the ground, which is including the forest plantations, the oil palm plantations, and of course the state parks and national parks and all. Yeah.
Exactly. So, of course, outside of the forest, the only area which the wildlife and elephants are also able to survive then actually conflicts with humans, right?
Yes. So, elephants, they liked a lot of monocots, grasses, bamboos.
Grazing areas.
Grazing areas, yeah. Unfortunately, oil palm is also a monocot, and they are attracted to young palms. So that is why for us to conserve elephants, it's very important for us to be able to work with the oil palm plantations to find ways how can elephant and people live together in the same landscape. Yeah, so tackling the conflict, minimizing some of the damages, allowing elephants to move safely from one feeding ground to the other feeding ground. So these are some of the efforts that we are trying to carry out together, with all the elephant researchers.
Understood. And when it comes to the palm oil plantation stakeholders themselves, especially the ones in Peninsular, even have they actually been proactive and interested? Because also the palm oil industry, the agricultural sector, is facing a lot of certification and upgrading, right? How does that come into this landscape?
Okay, so this is the economic aspect, yeah?
Sure.
So oil palm is a very heavily scrutinized industry. I think Farina will agree, right? All the campaigns on orangutans, elephants and all. Often they paint oil palm as the bad guy. Yeah. So in this narrative, we are trying to give another perspective, saying oil palm plantations too can help support wildlife conservation of endangered species. There's a lot of efforts done by the orangutan researchers in Sabah. Yeah, Farina. And also the elephant researchers. So coming up with best practices for oil palm plantations. How can we manage the conflict at the same time, allow these endangered species to live? Yes,
exactly. And I picked up on something which you mentioned earlier, which is that basically the young palms are more targeted because that is the elephant's preferred diet. So what has been perhaps some of the feedback that has been noticed from the oil palm stakeholders about maybe recommendations which have come in from researchers like yourself for perhaps protecting the young oil palms, since the mature oil palms seem to do well? But of course, the issue is that they want all the oil palms to mature, right? Without any conflict with the elephants in the area.
Okay.
Yes, sure.
So, for example, I think we have to understand that oil palm, they have a lot of groups, if I can make it simple.
Sure, please do.
You have the smallholders, you have the medium size, you have the big players, and the resources that they have also very different.
They vary really.
Exactly. So big players, they are very committed to certification. For example, they understand the importance of sustainability. But if you imagine the smallholders that have only very small land, and each trees mean everything to them.
Naturally,
right?
yes.
So
100 trees, meaning all 100 need to be fruiting.
And some of them, they don't even have 100 trees. Yeah. And you have, so how to convince, one farmer that really depend the entire livelihood of the family depend on that one single trees. So the approach need to be also different to which groups that we are dealing with. And right now we forget that when we look at in human-elephant conflict, there is actually another component which is human-human conflict that is more challenging for us to deal with. Because
let's talk about that.
Okay, yeah, sure. So right now, I feel that the blame that we get is because we don't really understand how the industry work. They are planters, so they have different kind of goal and mission, and now you are putting all the responsibility on them. To
manage the ecological side.
That's why we have to work together right now. And I'm happy that in Peninsular Malaysia and in Sabah, we are in the right path. We are working together. There are more and more positive collaboration with between industry and also conservation to do.
Very positive.
Yeah.
Exactly. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about, in particular, Seratu Atai's experience, particularly working in the lower Kinabatangan area? Why, first of all, is this area so valuable when it comes to conservation issues?
So Kinabatangan is a very fragmented. For me, it's crowded with people, but at the same time it sustains so many different kind of species, endangered species, endemic species of Borneo. Economically, it's very important for tourism activities because that's the best place for you to be able to see wild elephants in their natural habitats. You know, we are talking about, you see elephants on the riverbank eating their natural feeding, you know, the orangutan on the trees building the nest. So this is like a heaven for people who love to see wildlife. But at the same time, there are a lot of pressure. Kinabatangan itself is a corridor. So all the wildlife that live in the corridor. So there are more pressures. We need to be able to balance between the, the needs for economic and also to preserve the wildlife. So what we're trying to do at Sarto Atar is right now trying to look at how we can do this at the landscape level rather than on a, individual land or individual stakeholders. So how all of us can work together. That's why Sarto Atar means bersatu hati, which we want to try to bring everyone together.
Correct. Now, clearly, collaboration is going to be a big part of the landscape, not just moving forward, but tell me a little bit more, Ethan, about the existing synergy of MEM's work, collaborating also with researchers in Sabah.
Yes, in fact, for the first workshop we have in Peninsular Malaysia that we organized on human-elephant conflict and coexistence, I actually invited researchers from Sabah like Farina, Datuk John Payne, to come and share what they are doing there with the groups here in Peninsular Malaysia. Then later on, I have subsequent other workshops, three other workshops actually. And then we start to develop our path, and we decided for the place that we're working in, the corridors and food banks are very important. And this synergizes with also national policy like Centre for Spine Master Plan for Peninsular Malaysia to try to reconnect some of these forest habitats. And yet, we are trying to find win-win solutions whereby, the elephants can move and find food. At the same time, the plantation are able to protect their vulnerable sites, such as the young palms or their residential area or their mills, places with high density of people. So we're trying to encourage, to attract the elephants to use the pathway near to the forest, so they are still familiar to go back to the forest, and then maybe just go to some grassland area or grazing area prepared for them and to feed on. So in this way, we hope we can try to lower some of the conflict between people and elephants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And perhaps if I could have a quick comment, especially from MEM's side, looking at the fact that there is not so much available data about the Asian elephants from our region and how it actually adds on to not only the regional but the global wealth of knowledge.
I think the Sundaik elephants, there's the elephants in this region, not much is known about them actually. So the work that the researchers in Sabah, what Farina is doing and others, very, very important. And the work that is produced by MEM, my organization, and also other researchers from Pelitan, WCS, WWF, are all very important for us to know more about Asian elephants in the rainforest. Because a lot of what we know about elephants is from Africa, India, Sri Lanka. So what is known, what we have is still relatively mysterious and cryptic. And I really admire the work of the researchers in Sabah. And I'm very happy that we are able to collaborate together in this aspect. Yeah.
Thank you for the discussion so far. We take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Niaga Spotlight, focusing on our eco-assets and elephant conservation around Malaysia. Welcome back to Niaga Spotlight with me, Tamina Kausji. So today we've been discussing eco-assets and looking at elephant conservation in and around all areas of Malaysia. Now, continuing the conversation, perhaps we were also looking at the fact that there is a need to look at the loss of about 60% of Bornean elephant habitats in the last 40 years. Are there perhaps maybe some innovative ideas or strategies which you have had, Dr. Farina, looking at your work in Sabah, but at the same time, perhaps there wasn't the available funding for it. If you, let's say, had the available funding and the available, collaboration and synergies all in place, would there be some specific areas that you would want to jumpstart already, and what would they be?
Right. So for conservation, for elephant conservation, the most important thing is to try to again, we really. I started Serato Atta at the beginning because I feel frustrated. We are trying to stop elephant. Every time it's about elephant have to adopt, have to change.
That's right.
For us.
Not the other way around, right?
Yeah. So I would like to come back to the human-human conflicts that we're having. So right now, we can put all the technologies, but without people tolerance towards the elephant, we cannot go far. Yeah. Elephants, they can learn, they make decisions, they have personality. But if we keep looking at them as just being animal, whatever technologies that we use will never work. So for us right now, it's more building the trust with the communities, with the stakeholders. Always try to follow through all the plans that we do together, and always come with a solution together. It's not like me going to them and tell them you have to do A, B, C, D. It's about like, okay, now you are the owner of the land, you understand, and I know a bit of elephants' behavior.
Right.
How
let's talk.
Let's talk and let's try to find this solution together. So it's a marathon. A lot of people expect one solution overnight.
And for it to happen overnight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, this is very seasonal. When there is a situation, then people, So that's why we need, a team of people that can work with the stakeholder and tell them that there is someone that with you to walk this journey with you, and maybe we'll not get a big success, but small success, like, for example, having integrated electric fence that, everyone put the resources together. For us, corridor, for example, it's not only try to expand a connectivity for elephants, but it's a unity, it's a sign of unity of the stakeholders sharing the landscape together, that we are sharing this issue together, So I think that's the most important thing for elephant conservation.
Exactly. So basically along each stretch of land, then you're able to slowly integrate until hopefully it becomes normalized, right?
And I would like to add to that, for example, if a plantation is doing a good thing, nobody really celebrate that. They only highlighting the issues. So right now, for example, if they give up their land for corridors, they never get any incentive. For example, that they are doing business and they are paying, for example, taxes. How can they, come up with
receive acknowledgement for that? Yeah,
exactly. So we have to also start talking about how we can support the oil palm that are committed, really sincere to make difference. And this is one of the things that Serato Atta is hoping. We are engaging with, like different MSPO and other, hopefully, MPOB, the Ministry of Commodity, to try to understand if there is a way that we can incentivize the plantation for doing, a good job at conserving wildlife in their landscape.
Exactly. And because each of you also separately did raise the importance of the elephants having a diversified diet and especially things which they prefer to eat, what about perhaps some solutions around elephant-powered agroforestry? Of course, they are, incredible animals, and they have a wide-ranging landscape that they travel each and every day for food and around the habitat. Are we already integrating some of these solutions in the areas that you both have work experience in?
You want to go first?
No.
So for us, it's because right now there is no yet a mechanism how to. So right now it's everyone is like experimenting which is working and which is not working. So planting the food the food bank for elephants, and so that's why it's very important for us researchers to monitor and evaluate what is the success, what are not working, and what is working. and usually that's take quite sometimes. So right now there is no, I think, one yet, very successful.
No one size fits all.
Exactly, exactly. And like I say, elephant learns, and that's why we also have to be dynamic and flexible as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I can add on to that.
Sure.
So for my research project, we did do some elephant feeding behavior we released the elephant from captive facilities into a forest patch, and we observe what kind of the plants that the elephant choose to eat,
right.
And what is
and
available
observing
there.
that, yeah.
By observing that, we noticed the result that elephants really like monocots, they like palms, and possibly that's why there is the conflict between the oil palm plantation and elephants. But that's why the work done by the researchers in Sabah and Peninsular is so important, to try to bridge that conflict, trying to move away from that narrative that elephants and oil palm cannot coexist. If we can show that elephants and oil palm can coexist in that area, then I think the oil palm industry will set a standard that is really good to show that we can balance development and conservation of nature at the same time. So I think it's a beautiful message that Malaysia can share with the world.
Absolutely. I think we should be looking at solutions, and especially let's move back into, of course, the most recent case, Dr. Ifin. Now, this isn't, of course, the first time that vehicle-elephant collisions have occurred on that specific highway. Some thoughts around that and mitigation strategies, at least for the near future. Because meanwhile, all the good work is happening in the forests, in the background. Researchers are working on identifying preferences for the elephant's well-being, but also the reality remains that quite often elephants get caught in the middle of the highway. So some thoughts around that.
So in Peninsular Malaysia, yes, we have this issue of elephant vehicle collision from time to time. Some years we have a few cases at one go, and some years there's none. So for the particular case in Greek Jelly Highway, that particular stretch of road, I'm quite familiar with it because this is one of my study sites. That road cut across a mountainous range.
Right.
So even in normal circumstances, that road is considered, can be dangerous to drivers if they are tired or they are not paying attention, or if there's rain, the road is slippery. We have seen cars, turning turtle or knock the banks and things like that. Even without elephants present on the road, So if visibility on that road is low, for example, there's mist or there's not enough light, and with elephants' presence, their behavior is they like to cross the road at night. About 80% of them, of the crossing occurs at night. During daytime, there's about 20% of the crossing,
And of course, the visibility for drivers would, of course, be higher at the morning.
In the morning, so they can react in time. So in this particular case, Greek Jelly Highway, a lot of, uproar, came out from that incident. Everybody's pushing on what is the solution. There's a lot of efforts that have been tested, signboards, flashing LED lights by the authorities, and they even put in a viaduct and all that. But all these measures can help, maybe increase awareness and reduce some of it, but it doesn't resolve or take away the risk completely.
Noted.
Yeah, so because that road is an important road that connects between Perak and Kelantan.
It's a natural crossing in a sense.
So high number of vehicles and also trucks and all that. So is it okay if I propose what I feel is a good potential solution for this situation?
Absolutely.
So based on my observation on the ground, I feel perhaps one important step that we could take is actually try to reduce the number of big trucks at night. Reduce the traffic at night can allow, reduce the danger of people driving at a slippery slope or the high oh, so sorry.
Exactly, because also when it comes to the size of these lorries and other big vehicles, they may, of course, naturally be more difficult to control at night with, let's say, a tired driver behind the wheel. When it comes to Perhilitan, for example, and their set of recommended safety instructions, have you noticed also whether or not, in general, we are following all of the recommendations, or is there room for improvement, Dr. Ifin?
I think, yes, for drivers, we're talking about people's behavior. Yeah, whenever you put up a new signboard, maybe they pay attention, but after a while, it becomes part of the landscape, and they will ignore the sign.
In a sense, yeah.
So that's the part of the challenge. How do we influence people's behavior as they drive through that road? And that road cut across the Belum Temenggor rainforest, meaning both sides of the roads there are forests, there are wildlife crossing, many paths along the 120-kilometer highway. So if we can reduce the traffic at night, if we can perhaps suggest that the large trucks, maybe after certain hours, they have to park at the rest stop, in Bersia, in Greek, or in Jelly, so that we reduce the number of trucks at night along that road. But that also means the light vehicles, they shouldn't start speeding up because the road is clear. So there's also another danger that could happen.
It has to happen concurrently.
Yeah, so we also need to impose some speed limits on the other vehicles so that they will slow down and pay attention to the surroundings. Yes, measures like, making sure they have enough rest, making sure they are vigilant on their surroundings, and if they do encounter elephants, for them to actually slow down and let the elephant pass. Yeah, so all these measures are very important. Yeah.
Exactly. And when it comes together all in an integrated circle, that's perhaps where we actually start to see calculable differences in elephant populations, right? Dr. Farina, could I get some last thoughts from you regarding Borneo elephant conservation before we end?
I think right now the Bornean elephants, I think you might know that it's already listed in the red list, IUCN red list. So we must put all the efforts and put more resources to be able to, because we are dealing, what happened in Peninsular Malaysia, touch wood, I hope will not happen in Sabah, because we also have a highway that is being developed right now. There are a few stretches that is very sensitive. So we hope that we can learn from what happened in Peninsular Malaysia, and as much as we can put all the planning starts from now. So I'm very sad that an elephant have to be sacrificed to teach us a lesson. It's always like that,
Exactly,
it's always ad hoc. And I'm very grateful for the juvenile elephants. Because he's sacrificed now, we learn so much. It really opened a lot of eyes and heart to do better at conserving elephants. And what I hope that we just don't look them as a wildlife. They are also part of the landscape. They're living creatures like us, and they have a needs that we have to tolerate with them.
Yes, absolutely. Integrating and living together. Thank you very much, Dr. Farina and Dr. Ifin. Well, that's all we have time for today on Niaga Spotlight, looking at conservation efforts for one of our grandest and most precious eco-assets in Malaysia, the Malaysian wild elephant. We'll see you again next week with more economic analysis and insights. Here's to a productive week ahead.